All right, welcome doctors, chiropractors. Welcome to today's live stream. We are here every Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern to talk about how you can get more personal injury patients. My name is Mark Slater, been a chiropractor, knocking on 25 years. That just means I'm old. All I've done is personal injury. 24 years ago, I hired one of these consultants. There were only really two in the space back when I graduated, two main ones. There was David Singer and there was Peter Fernandez. Well, I hired Peter Fernandez. I joined his Practice Starters program. And I opened up my first practice in Birmingham, Alabama. Birmingham, Alabama, where they told me, you're not going to be successful. And all I wanted to do was PI. I wanted personal injury. The reason I wanted personal injury, because in the state of Alabama, Blue Cross Blue Shield insurance dominates 98, 99% of the citizens of Alabama. And whether you have 1 visit, 10 visits, 20 chiropractic visits, they pay $400 a year in insurance. They ended up getting sued about 20 years ago by chiropractors, and the chiropractors won. Guess what they won? $600 per calendar year. So I knew I wanted to get into personal injury in Alabama, where they said it's a good old boy network. You're never going to be successful. I didn't listen to that. Well, back then, in the year 2000-ish, there were cell phones, but there really wasn't an internet. There definitely wasn't social media. So marketing was old school. How do you market? You market in your shoes. So before my office even opened, I went around in concentric circles around where my office was being built to businesses and residences, and I knocked on doors and I took a survey. Just asking people, do you ever have headaches? Do you have neck pain, back pain? Have you ever been to a chiropractor? Like, just ask just this basic survey. And I got obviously their name and their address. And I mailed them a thank you note after every meeting. So in full disclosure, I was supposed to do 3,000, but I only did 1,000. A week before I opened, I sent all those people a grand opening letter. And so on day one in my business there, I had a room full of patients. They weren't all PI, but I was just getting my name out there. So I was in the black in the first month of that practice because I marketed before I was even open. Okay. So with personal injury, I started taking attorneys to lunch, doing it the old fashioned way and walking in the law firms, asking if they wanted to go to lunch. And through that exercise, just tell you this real quick story. I met this attorney. Let's call him attorney Mr. S. So Mr. S had a little house he was remodeling as his business on the south side of Birmingham. Under construction, wasn't even full. He was in the middle of the living room with a desk, a computer, and he had one assistant. And I got in a relationship with that guy. I was in this area town called Homewood. He got a lot of injured clients. Homewood was very convenient. So he started sending cases to me because he knew that I was a chiropractor that took those types of cases. And I started a nice relationship with that guy. Well, let's fast forward 20 years. That attorney became Alexander Shinara. Alexander Shinara, see if I can find this here. Alexander Shinara, give me a second. I just want to show you. Alexander Shinara is now one of the largest gorillas in the personal injury space in the South. Well, what do I mean gorillas? I'm talking about a 5,000-pound gorilla in the space. I'm going to share my screen. So this guy here, Alexander Shinara. If you live in the South, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, South Carolina, Tennessee, maybe a few more other states he's in, this guy now has 2,500 billboards. He went from a little broken down house in Birmingham, Alabama, to having 2,500 billboards all across the South. Sometimes he has billboards across the street from each other on the interstate, and some of them are even on top of each other. And that was my first relationship with Mr. S, Alexander Shinara. Okay, so if I were still practicing, I'm a full-time consultant now, Mr. Shinara and I would still have a relationship, and that guy, just that one meeting with that one relationship could have generated for me hundreds of thousands of dollars in revenue from treating PI patients. Okay, so I sold that practice in 2 years. I sold it in 2 years, and to Dr. Flanagan, he's still there, Oxmoor Chiropractic. And I bought a personal injury practice in Atlanta, Georgia, where I live now. And I had that for 17 years. I got into the med spa business. I started doing laser hair removal, laser tattoo removal, Botox, Restylane, Juvederm, and ended up selling all those practices in about 2017. I just sold everything, made a lot of money, took some time off. Well, I got recruited and hired by one of the largest spinal surgeons in the Southeast to help him grow his personal injury business. He wanted all personal injury, right? As a spinal surgeon, those surgeries can be as high as 100,000, 150, 200,000. And he had never done 24 of those in a single month, 24 spinal surgeries. He had also never acquired 200 personal injury patients in a single month. So I got hired. He had 5 marketing liaisons in the field. And I worked there for 11 months. And in that 11 months, we were able to break through the threshold of 200 new PI patients twice. And the doctor was able to perform 30 spinal surgeries in a month, twice in my tenure. So after 11 months, I resigned. I resigned because I don't like being an employee. That's the first reason. But secondly, I was saying to myself, if I can grow personal injury for myself, my own practice, if I can help an orthopedic spinal surgeon, like a little old chiropractor can help an orthopedic spinal surgeon help to grow his practice, I have something here. I have proof of concept. So I created a program to help doctors all across the country using these exact same methodologies and strategies that are evergreen, meaning you can do them forever. And as long as you keep your side of the street clean, you'll have these relationships with attorneys. So I created a course, I created a program, just a framework of step-by-step, daily, weekly, monthly activities to grow your personal injury practice. So that's a little bit about me. We're going to talk about the 3 pillars of personal injury growth. Now, these are just fundamentals. There's a lot of other ways, but if you can just master these 3, think of this as just a baseline of mastery of personal injury growth and personal injury marketing, right? And none of this involves you spending money on Facebook ads, YouTube ads, Google pay-per-click ads, radio ads. You don't have to do that. Personal injury is a relationship-driven business. Meaning, if you go after the patients, like try to find car accident victims, well, number one, you're competing with attorneys. Attorneys have a lot more money than you. Broadly speaking, they do. Average settlement for an attorney, the attorney's share of that settlement is going to be $26,000. You, as the provider, you're limited by your bill. I don't care if the patient gets $1 million settlement. If your bill is $5,000, maximum you can get is $5,000. That attorney is going to get 30% of whatever the settlement is. So chasing patients in personal injury is an expensive route to go. The average attorney, when they do digital marketing, their advertising has an acquisition cost of about $1,500 to $2,000 per client. So when they send you that client that their advertising brought to their law firm, they're $2,000 in the hole when they walk into your office. Again, don't feel sorry for them. Their average settlement is $26,000. Average take on a settlement is $26,000. Okay. However, if you leverage the fact that these attorneys have all the patients or clients because they can advertise for money, right? 26 million collected on this case, $2 billion collected so far. Turn your crash into cash. People are attracted to that. We can't advertise like that as doctors, but the attorneys can. So the attorneys have all these clients. 90% of them started the law firms. But the attorney doesn't have a case without your documentation, your notes, and your bill. They don't have a thing. Without your notes and bill, there is no case. The value of a personal injury case is directly related to the amount of medical bills their client has. So they got to send these clients somewhere. Why not you? Well, because a lot of you want to grow by word of mouth. Word of mouth is a great way to grow in 1970 and 1980. Now we have so many free tools at our disposal that we can use these free tools to stop growing by word of mouth, which is painfully slow, and expedite our relationships, expedite our conversations with the people that can be sent us cases. So let's talk about the three pillars or the three fundamentals of personal injury marketing. Now, all of these are going to be guided by two core principles. And those principles are to grow PI, massive numbers, volume, and consistency. If you combine numbers, massive numbers, and consistency, you're going to grow your personal injury business. So let me explain. The first pillar is you have to have a social media strategy. Everybody has this device on them when they're conscious. And when they're unconscious, it's usually right next to their head on their nightstand by their bed. So what is a social media strategy? I'm not talking about posting content 5 times a day. What I'm talking about is using the power of direct messaging to reach out to these attorneys and doctors, get in conversations, and set up meetings, whether they be lunches, and put yourself on their map as somebody that focuses on personal injury. Well, what do I mean by the map? Every single attorney that I know has a Google interactive map like this. So this is a map of Atlanta, and I took a screenshot of a personal injury attorney's interactive Google map. All these red marks are the chiropractors that this attorney has a relationship with. All the blue marks are the medical doctors that he has a relationship with. So if you were to scroll over this blue guy right here, it would pop up and say, you know, Dr. John Smith, interventional pain. This blue guy right here, Dr. Michael Williams, orthopedic surgeon, okay? So if the lawyer gets a client that lives or works in this area of Atlanta called Lilburn right here, he's gonna send it to this chiropractor that he has a relationship with, that he knows practices PI, or if they need medical intervention, maybe this guy, or this guy, depending on the specialty. I don't care that this chiropractor right here sent this attorney 15 unattached cases last month, right? That's free work. Those are free cases for the attorney. Remember, the attorneys pay $2,000 per case. When you send an unattached case, that's a free case for the attorney. And the reason is because no one in their right mind is going to drive 45 minutes across murderous Atlanta traffic 3 times a week, maybe 4 times a week to go to the chiropractor. So these attorneys all over your state need to know who the chiropractors and the doctors are that focus on PI all over the state. Well, Mark, why are you keep saying state? What about my city? Well, it's because these attorneys are marketing all over your state. Attorneys in Savannah, Georgia are marketing in Atlanta. I hear Mike Castillo ads in Atlanta, Georgia. Mike Castillo is in Savannah. But he'll sign up a client in Atlanta by mailing them a DocuSign contract or texting them a DocuSign contract. And at the end of the case, if there's a settlement, they're going to mail them a check. So if you learned a skill using the power of direct messaging, why direct messaging? I just sent them an email. Well, you can, but emails have about a 20% open rate, which I actually think is pretty high. Most business email marketing campaigns have a 15% open rate, which means 8 out of 10 people don't even open your email. They don't even see it. But when you use the power of social media messaging, almost a 90% open rate. I know every one of you, when you get a message on Facebook or LinkedIn or Instagram, you read it. You read it. You may not respond, but if you're a chiropractor or a doctor and you're reaching out to an attorney through Messenger and you're getting into a conversation about, hey, do you work with any doctors that focus on PI in my area of town? Well, now you can start a conversation because Messenger is conversational. You go back and forth on Messenger. You don't do that on email. You just don't. I mean, you can, it's just not as effective as Messenger, sending direct messages through Facebook and LinkedIn. But there's a process. You can't just blind message a lawyer. They don't know you. You're just a stranger. So there's a process to this. Okay? All right. So have a social media strategy. In my program, I train doctors to reach out to 50 PI attorneys or other doctors that can send them a case. 50 per day. That's 250 a week. That's 1,000 in a month. And this exercise takes 30 minutes a day. And if you tell me that you don't have 30 minutes a day to grow your practice, well, Jeff Bezos has the same amount of hours in the day that you do. Tim Cook has the same amount of hours in the day that you do. And these guys find time to grow their business and become billionaires. I'm not saying you're gonna become a billionaire, but what I'm saying is go to bed later, wake up earlier, devote 30 minutes to the growth of your personal injury practice. If you don't have 30 minutes to devote to the growth of your personal injury practice, I don't know who's gonna help you build personal injury, because it's a relationship-driven business. You gotta get out there. You gotta meet these guys, you gotta build trust. And there's a process to it. If you know how to do it, you're gonna have a winning social media strategy. So that's the first pillar. Have a social media strategy with the two principles of massive numbers and consistency. You smash that together, you leverage what's called the compound effect. The compound effect says small, consistent little actions lead to big results down the road. So when you combine those massive numbers and consistency, you get the compound effect. Some people call it hockey stick growth. You're going to do it for a little bit, then all of a sudden, exponential results with massive numbers and consistency. We leverage the compound effect. So that's the first pillar, having a social media strategy. The second pillar or fundamental of having a large personal injury vertical in your practice is to have a dedicated personal injury marketing liaison. Somebody that works exclusively for you, that every day they are not in your office. They are in the field, they're in the market, walking into law firms, introducing themselves, saying, hey, are you open to hearing about a doctor in Buckhead that focuses on treating people that have been injured in car accidents? Get into a conversation, meet the front desk person, meet the case manager. Hey, by any chance is the attorney available, or I can speak to him? And if you're nice to the front desk person and you kind of know how to say it and you have a script, you'll get that meeting like right there. And the goal of the marketer is to set up, oh, I'll tell you this other secret, lunches for you. Or this new secret weapon in 2022, Zoom calls. Let me explain. The pandemic helped us as doctors in our personal injury marketing, because what the pandemic did in March of 2020, when the country got shut down, no one was in the law firms. So if you had marketing liaisons knocking on law firms' doors, no one was there. Even today, 40 to 50% of these lawyers figured out how to work remotely. They're not even in their law firms anymore. So the question became, how could we impactfully market for personal injury? Well, the answer became organic outreach and attraction. I don't want to get into that, but what the pandemic did, it taught these attorneys how to Zoom. These attorneys Zoom every day. They're doing Zoom depositions, Zoom bench trials. They're going to Zoom, they're doing Zoom court. And with the attorneys that I talk to, it's here to stay. The judges love it because they can get through their calendars quicker by doing Zoom hearings. So if you learn the skill of social media to reach out through direct messaging, which has a higher percentage of an open rate, walk them down through a series of questions and build rapport, and then asking, hey, are you open to hopping on a Zoom call to learn more about your law firm next week? There you go. The old way is just taking an attorney to lunch as many times as you can, or as many times that you're available, but that's just slow. It's expensive. It's a 2-hour ordeal usually. You got to drive 30 minutes to lunch, hour lunch, 30 minutes back. But how many Zoom calls could you do in a day? If you're like me, I'm lucky if I eat lunch once in a day, but I can do multiple Zoom calls to grow my business. So if you can leverage a social media strategy and get Zoom calls with attorneys, you can meet exponentially more attorneys that way and get more PI patients in the door. So that's the first pillar, first fundamental, have a social media strategy. Number two, and I was starting to do this, have a marketing liaison. In my program, I'm going to help you hire, train, coach, optimize, and track. You must track your liaison. You need to know, who are they talking to? Where did they go? You have to give them goals. So I give you this framework of daily, weekly, monthly activities that your marketer needs to handle. Going to train your marketer so that they know questions to ask, how to handle objections. You know, hey, we don't use chiropractors. Well, they can't just turn around and walk away. They got to handle that objection, ask a better question to keep that conversation going. So having a dedicated marketing liaison in the field allows you to treat your patients while you have somebody representing you, your brand, and your practice in the market, letting people know that you focus on this type of work. So that's the second fundamental, is having somebody tooting your horn in the market in your city every single day. Walking in the law firms, urgent cares. There's a way to get PI patients from urgent cares. You don't talk to the office manager or the doctor. They don't care. There's a secret way of doing it. And you can also get them from other doctors, general practitioners, primary care doctors. But if you walk in there and go, hey, I work with Dr. Smith up the street. He's a chiropractor. We do personal injury. We take motor vehicle accidents. I know you don't do that. Hey, just give me all your PI patients. That doesn't work. Everybody does that. They hear that all the time. You're not unique. We have a unique method to get PI patients from the medical community. You don't even talk about PI on the first visit. You walk in there to give them something first. It's really powerful. So that's the second fundamental or pillar, is having a dedicated personal injury marketing liaison for your practice. Not part-time, not sharing with somebody else. This is somebody you're investing in, not an employee expense. You're investing in this employee to grow your business. Your front desk person, your CA, your techs, they're not going to grow your business. They may ask for a referral, but they're not doing it every day, and it's not their sole job. Investing in this person, let's say you pay them $5,000 a month, right? $60,000 annual salary, just picking that $5,000 a month. A lot of you, if you get one PI patient, that pays for the marketer. If your marketer only gets one PI patient a month, fire him or her. They're doing it wrong. I'll help you. But do you see, if you got 5, 6, 10 PI patients from the work of your marketer in a single month, it is an investment you would pay every single month. That's called if you got 10 PI patients and your average fee is $5,000 and you pay your marketer $5,000, that's a 10x ROAS. ROAS. Well, you're not doing ad spend, but it's a return, ROR, return on relationships. You've heard of ROI, return on investment. This is ROR, return on relationships. So investing in this person to go into the market and tout you for personal injury, that you're the guy in this area, is going to grow your PI practice. Okay, so that's the second fundamental. I keep saying social media. The personal injury marketing liaison. All right. The third pillar, your third fundamental, communication. When I ask chiropractors every day, hey, tell me, I'm going to get you in front of an attorney. Tell me why, if I'm the attorney, I should send my clients to you. What's your big promise? I put them on the spot. And these attorneys, I am going to get the patient well, the patients love us, we're more boutique. Patient this, patient that, we do this service, we do that service, we do this, we do spinal decompression. Okay. But you didn't tell the attorney one benefit of working with your practice. They don't care about your services. They know you have the tools to get the patient better. You went to school for that. Okay. They want to know, what are the benefits of working with your clinic, right? In other words, these attorneys have pain points. If you know what those pain points are and you address those in your meetings with these attorneys, they're going to pay attention and they're going to remember you. Attorneys want to know, are you skilled enough to provide value drivers for my case? Mr. Attorney, I'm going to give you diagnoses that verify our treatment. Through a process we use, we take dynamic flexion extension x-rays. We could diagnose ligamentous instability. Ligamentous instability, left untreated, could cause long-term disability. So we're going to validate our care. Those are the type of diagnoses you're going to get from us, which are value drivers for the case. We're also trained when we write reports that speak to the Colossus software that the insurance companies use to give you a higher settlement offer. We are going to give you value drivers for the case. Attorney, okay, more money, more higher. I want to work with a clinic like you. So if you know their pain points and you can address those, with your communications and you up level your communications and you understand what your benefits are, and those benefits should be addressing their pain points, right? They also want to know, can you quarterback the case? Mr. Attorney, if you send me a client, one of your clients, I'm going to do my best to get them better, obviously. However, if after 30 days, they're still ticking 9, 10 on the pain scale, I'm going to make a proper referral for your client with our network of other specialists. In other words, you're going to quarterback this case. You're a team-based approach. We have relationships with interventional pain docs, orthopedic surgeons, neurologists, and I will always reach out to you before I make that referral because I want to make sure that you have a good relationship with this specialist we want to send your client to. It's your client. You sent them to us. We're honored that you chose us. So I want to communicate and make sure if we send this to an interventional pain doc, I want to make sure you have a good relationship with them. Okay? So those are the 3 core pillars. Social media strategy, reaching out through direct messaging. Dedicated personal injury marketing liaison to be in the field, talking to attorneys, meeting MRI reps. Here's a little secret for you, a little value add. Here's an action item for you. I want you to call the MRI rep that you know. Say, you know what, we've been doing some business together. I need a favor. I want you to introduce me to 5 of the coolest attorneys that you know and see if they're open to a lunch or a Zoom call. There's your action item. MRI reps know every attorney in town. They also know the ones that wear the black hats and the ones that wear the white hats. Tell them to introduce you to the ones that wear the white hats. Okay, you understand white hats, black hats, euphemism for evil warriors. We want to leave them alone. We want to work with the ones that understand our bill gets them a settlement. They want to protect our bill and they understand that this is a relationship. Okay, those are the attorneys with the white hats, ones that don't try to screw you over. So if you're in and you're watching this in the live stream and you're watching live, give me some likes, put a comment in there. It helps me, well, just give me some likes and loves. I'd appreciate it. Okay, so those are the 3 core pillars of personal injury marketing. Just get those 3 under your belt, you're going to grow your PI practice. But those are the 3 real fundamentals, right? Social media strategy, dedicated marketing liaison, up level and master your communications when you talk with lawyers, right? Because if you don't have a point of differentiation, in other words, what makes you unique as a doctor in this personal injury space? Why are you so special? You have to be able to, oh, thanks for the love, man, I appreciate that. You have to be able to explain your point of differentiation. Otherwise, you just become a commodity. You understand commodity in this space? You're just like everybody else. What's going to make you stand out in this space and not be like everybody else? Have a point of differentiation, meaning you have a service that is a little different, or the way you do things is just a little different. That's what, have a point of differentiation. Don't just be a commodity. Like a commodity, how I explain it is, oh, here, bricks and bricklaying. If I wanted to brick a wall, I can call 3 different companies and I'm just going to go to the person that gives me the lowest bid. Because there's nothing special about the caulk and nothing special about the brick. It's just a commodity. This brick that isn't any more special than any other brick out there other than the color. So don't be a commodity chiropractor where you don't have a point of differentiation. You're just like everybody else. Have a unique sales proposition. Figure out what your point of differentiation is. It doesn't even have to be clinically a point of differentiation. Let me explain. I have a chiropractor in South Florida who tells this story. This is a story he just keeps in his back pocket for every attorney that he meets. This is his point of differentiation from his personal resume. He's the chiropractor for Live Nation in South Florida. So anytime there is a concert in Miami or Fort Lauderdale, they call this chiropractor to go be there to adjust Justin Bieber, Beyonce, Bon Jovi, like all the acts that come, they request a chiropractor. So he has all these pictures of all these acts, He took his daughter to meet Justin Bieber. I mean, incredible stories. Attorneys remember that. That's a point of differentiation, a personal point of differentiation. Doesn't necessarily mean you have this widget in your practice that nobody else has, although that's good. So figure out your point of differentiation. What story can you tell that's just going to make the attorneys go, I'm going to remember that guy. That's a cool story. Okay. So that's the presentation. That's my live stream. I want to thank everyone for attending today, but let me just give you a call to action. If you want to talk to me about your practice, like talk about where you are today and talk about where you want to be, and you want me to give you some advice or help you, or you just want to get in a conversation about personal injury, type pillar underneath the comment pillar underneath this video. I'll reach out to you. We'll hop on a 15-minute call. I'll give you one or two things that you could do a little differently to grow your personal injury practice. So type pillar underneath this video in the comments. Let's get on a call and give me some context. Where are you today? What's your current situation? What's your desired situation? Where do you want to be in the next 6 to 12 months in personal injury? And we can formulate a specific plan for you and your practice, a map to get there. A MAP stands for a massive action plan. If you don't have a plan, two things are going to happen. Nothing works, nothing moves in your business, or you become a part of somebody else's plan. So when you have your plan and you put your blinders on and you work that plan, you're going to grow a personal injury business. So show up here at 4 p.m. Every single Thursday, we do a live stream. I'm not going to be here next Thursday, though. I am going to be out of town, but that's okay. Normally, every Thursday I'm here. I might replay an old popular live stream that I did in the past that a lot of people resonated with. So there will be a live stream next Thursday, but it won't be live. Okay. So show up here in this Facebook group at 4 p.m. every Thursday, and I'll have a topic for you. Today was just the 3 pillars of the fundamentals of personal injury marketing. I think last week I did the 3 pillars, but I also talked about handling an objection. You send me one, I'll send you one. Doctors hear that all the time. It's borderline illegal for an attorney to say that to you. So handle that objection. Don't cower and go, ugh. There's a way to handle it. You learn more, you earn more. Okay? Have a great week, everyone. We'll see you next week at 4 p.m. right here in the Facebook group. Have a great day.